From the 915 to H-Town, from the Panhandle Plains to the Valley, and everywhere in between, this is the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Join me, Hector Cano, as we cover the Texas high school club and college soccer landscape, along with an inside look at the college soccer recruiting scene. The 50/50 Podcast is a platform about the people and for the people who are dedicated to the beautiful game. Here we go. It's another edition of the 50/50 Podcast, episode 141, powered by our proud partners at TexasVeteranRealtor.com. This episode is brought to you by Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, the go-to realtor for military and veteran families in Central Texas. With her Cover and Move I Got Your Six approach, you focus on the move while she handles the contracts, deadlines, and even the details. Want a realtor who works like you and fights for you? Then you need to visit TexasVeteranRealtor.com for your free, no-pressure strategy session. Again, that's Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com. All right. My next guest joining us here for episode 141, he is Mr. President himself, as I like to often call him. He is Rob Bledsoe, the president of TASCO, as well as the head men's soccer coach of the O'Connor Panthers. Coach, how are you?
Doing good. Let me get a drink of this water from this mug right here.
What a jerk. I'm telling you, what a jerk. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that was good.
Hey, I hope that thing falls and fries your laptop.
Let's
Hey,
get that on you.
hey, they were due. How long is it? What was it? It's been like, what, 14 years since the last time I think they beat Liverpool?
Yeah, I was prepared.
In Anfield. In
Yeah, I was
Anfield, too. In
prepared
Anfield.
to sing the "You're Nothing Special, We Lose All the Time" song at the end of the game. So, but yeah, it was kind of refreshing. It was a good weekend for me. O'Connor football won. My Aggies.
Oh, did they?
won.
Who
Oh, yeah.
did O'Connor play?
They beat Marshall, so
Okay.
still have a chance to make the playoffs. And then my Aggies beat Arkansas last night, so I was happy with that. Then United this morning, so
Yeah.
a good weekend. It's my birthday weekend, so
I'm sure.
I think
Yeah.
it's
There you go. Happy birthday. 21 years old. Congrats, Coach.
53.
Yeah, 53, man. Look good for 53, man. I got to give it to you.
Thank
you. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, that Aggie game got a little interesting there.
It's always close, whether it's in Jerry World or at Arkansas, whatever. It's that they play us close. And that quarterback, wow, he was tough.
I tuned in, what was it, like, I think it was like maybe a minute or so right before halftime.
Oh, yeah.
I was like 21-20. What is going on?
Yeah, 11-point
like,
lead right
Yeah.
before that. And then all of a sudden, bing, bang,
Yeah.
boom, it's a point.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah, my Longhorns had to sweat it out too, making it's just I'm beginning to realize what they say about on the road in the SEC, but especially night games on the road.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the-
It's different.
in the SEC. So yeah, they're looking. They got a lot of work to do.
Thanksgiving's going to be a fun game.
And did you see the? Why am I drawing a blank here? I talked about it half the day today. Florida coach Billy Napier.
Oh, yeah, Napier.
Got
Yeah.
let go. Yeah, got
It's
let
just-
go. Yeah.
I think so many teams are worried about who to replace him with that they
Yeah.
have to pull the trigger, which is everybody in the SEC is good. There's really no bad teams.
Mhm.
So 500 gets you fired, which should
Right.
not be the case. But a lot
Well,
of
you know,
money.
Penn State established this whole new precedence now, and it's kind of this mad dash to, putting yourself out there with any potential new coaching candidates, plus the portal,
Right.
because
And they
at the
don't want to
moment,
look bad going behind the scenes looking for the next coach and then have that leak. And then that makes, the admin look bad. So it's like this
Correct.
is going to happen anyway. Might as well get it. And like you said, with the portal, got to get those guys in.
Yeah. Yeah, the interesting one, I mean, that just kind of tells you how it was a done deal, right? It's very rare do you see a coach get fired after winning. And Billy
I
Napier-
heard it happen on Thursday or Friday. I
yeah.
think they already knew it was going to happen.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have an
yeah.
open date coming up, so just give 2 weeks to the interim guy to get everything established.
Right. Well, not that we're here to break down SEC talk, but
On the 50/50 podcast.
yeah, your go-to analysis for SEC football. No, but hey, it's Hey, I'll talk anything as long as I don't have to talk about Manchester United. So I'll give you that one. But hey, Coach, before we kind of start diving into a lot of things, because we got a lot to talk about here with you, we're glad to have you here. Want to talk about our first kind of a new little mini segment that we introduced here not too long over the summer, really. We call it so what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to. So a little bit of everything of something you recently watched, something you're into, something you just recently read, and or something maybe you're listening to, particularly maybe a recent podcast, a new playlist, something different. What do you got?
Well, I try to read this every morning. It's the Daily Stoic. I got into Stoic philosophy a few years ago, and I've got that book for some of my coaching friends and buddies through the years as well. It's just something good to start your day with. To really, some of the tenets of it are control what you can control and don't worry about what you can't. We as coaches, we get so mad about the weather and the field, and it's just one of those things that just have to deal with. It's the same for both, but it's helped me to get grounded a little bit more. Still not perfect, still working at it, but I've tried to incorporate it into our high school program too. I have a little series called it's Film and Philosophy, and we try to look at a quote from the Stoics and see how we can incorporate that into our soccer regimen as well. And then we watch some film too. So that's been pretty cool. And then I'm watching Task. I'm not watching it right now. It's recording right now, but the season finale of Task on HBO is on right now, and it's incredible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You were telling me about that yesterday. So this season finale. So how many episodes? 8, 9, 10?
Seven.
What is it?
It was seven.
7. Okay, gotcha. Well, hey, I really appreciate you being here because I know you were hardcore about it yesterday, and the fact that I know you were going to miss it live so you could be here with us says something. So we appreciate the whole state of Texas appreciates you. So so thank you for that. But also something on a more kind of serious note. Wanted to kind of pivot here for a second because I do know you had a significant announcement, something you wanted to share with us on a
Yeah,
somber note, and I wanted to go ahead and give you the floor, Coach.
one of the OGs for TASCO, Julian Tamez, passed away recently. He was a president of TASCO way back in 1998. He had some stops around San Antonio and South Texas coaching. So, without him, there is no 50-50 podcast. There is no, as big of a footprint of soccer as there is. So I always want to recognize those guys. He wasn't a personal friend of mine, but I knew of him, and his again, what he did way back then helped pave the road for what we're doing now. So I just wanted to make sure we recognized him and just appreciate all he did back in the day.
Yeah. Our condolences, our thoughts and prayers go out to Coach Dallas's family, and definitely with you, and definitely thinking about you. So, thank you for sharing that, Coach. Really appreciate that. But switching gears here, kind of want to start talking all things TASCO. But before we kind of dive into, because there's a lot we got to talk about, right? From the state of Texas high school soccer to the convention itself, leading up to the convention, TASCO membership. There's a lot we're going to throw at you. But before we do any of that, tell us a little bit about in terms of, and even before we even talk about your residency. Kind of wanted to ask you a question. You alluded to it a little bit here with your book, but just how are things going with your boys' preseason so far out at O'Connor?
It's going great. That we lost 4 huge pieces from last year's team. We lost the goalkeeper, the 6, the 8, and the 9. Right up the spine. So just figuring that out that was step one in figuring out who we are first. Because if you just go out there and play, you never establish an identity. So I think we have figured out who we are, what we're all about, and we're really starting to come together and had a really good freshman class as well. We might have a couple, if not a few, freshmen on varsity this year. And this is one of the strongest freshman groups I've had in the 16 years I've been at O'Connor. So it's going to be tough. Obviously, Warren still has 2 of the best players in San Antonio with Brian and Cam, and Harlan has Angel. So those 2 teams are definitely going to be tough to beat. And Brennan is always good. And I think Taft is going to be the dark horse in Northside this year. They've got a lot of talent there. So it's going to be a fun district campaign once again with no easy games. So,
Yeah.
but we're looking forward to it.
You feel obviously it's a tough district, but how do you feel? Do you feel any significant optimism as far as playoff hopes and whatnot going into this year compared to maybe years past? Do you feel any different there, or with taking nothing away from your opponents in district play, obviously?
I kind of just, like you say, compared on what I've known over the past several years that I've been there, year 16 now. I would hope to think we're top half of the district, which gives us a chance to get in.
Yeah.
But things can happen, and
Right.
move-ins happen, injuries happen. So, but I have a pretty good feeling about this year. And I'm not going to guarantee a district title or anything like that, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping we'll get to play some bonus soccer this year.
Gotcha. Good deal. Well, we'll transition here, and so we'll dive right into telling us a little bit about your presidency so far. Has it? What has it been like, and has it been anything like what you expected? Completely different or way out there? What has it been like so far?
There's a lot to it, but the guys that came before me have set us up for success so well. It's just kind of a well-oiled machine. Sometimes I don't know what I don't know, but there's such a support net around that I can say, hey, what do I need to do? This is the super busy season getting ready for the convention, but we have a past president, so I can always go to him. And then close personal friend of mine, Gilbert Villarreal at Reagan, he can let me know what I need to be doing. And then, of course, Jimmy Kruger, he's running the show for the convention. So, I check in with him about once a week. Hey, what's on my to-do list this week? And just keeping up with that. It's been good, but conventions, it's looking really positive. We're over 20% ahead of pre-registration from last year. So yeah, we're happy about that. No president wants their year to be the terrible year, the year that we took a step back. And hitting 1,000, that's kind of what every president wants to do. And hopefully we will hit that 1,000 this year.
Yeah, yeah. And I know going back to last year, it's always an interesting one in terms of being able to gauge the official numbers versus what just the eyeball test, right? And so this coming year, this will be my fourth year headed out there to help cover the convention. And those last 3 years, it's looked a little bit busier, a little bit. People have gotten there earlier, people have stayed there longer, and more people have showed. It amazes me how many people halfway late in Friday afternoon are still showing up registering. It's an awesome thing, but each year I just continue to see growth. But the eyeball test, like I said, versus official numbers can always kind of be a little tricky.
Yeah, we've got a couple of officials from San Antonio going to do a classroom session, and they were asking you when they should show up, and I said, do not get there from 2:30 to 5:30 on Thursday, because there's going to be 500 soccer coaches in a line in the lobby, waiting to check in, because that is the crazy time on Thursday afternoon. Everybody, kind of finishing up their day and getting there, and it's that's the mad rush. But after that, once things settle down, it's great. And we're so happy to be back at Moody. And we're locked up to be at Moody up until we're just signed a new contract through 2029, which is awesome. We're very
Okay.
happy because they take care of us so much. And I get it. It's kind of a long way for a whole lot of people. And
Right.
it's not, we are there because they give us the best deal. And over the past few years, we've even looked at, maybe Kalahari or going somewhere more central, and it's almost twice as much. And if we do that, now we got to double fees, and we don't want to do that. It's
Mm-hmm.
so great to just take an elevator down, walk to the sessions. When it was here in San Antonio, you know, you're either walking to the Henry B, and it's not a great fit for doing soccer, or we'd have to drive to Blossom, and you never know what the weather's going to be like. So
Right.
Moody's it's just such a great combination of,
Mm-hmm.
everything there in one spot.
Yeah. Yeah. And shout out there to my co-host and Inside Texas High School Soccer, Coach Rafa Castorena. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for checking in. Appreciate you. Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. I know I wasn't around for those days, right? The San Antonio days, but I've heard the stories, right? Just in terms of the displacement, people going in so many different directions, people being overwhelmed with, I basically have to pick one thing for the entire day, depending upon where I want to go. So, excuse me. And I used to be kind of one of those that I didn't ask it, but I kind of wondered. It's like, why? I'm kind of curious why Galveston. Then I showed up, almost 4 years ago when Jimmy invited me to cover with, the podcast to cover the convention. And after seeing the setup in 1 year and behind the scenes and the production, just the production alone for the podcast, right? I got it. I get it. It just not only in terms of what they offer, it's a kind of all inclusive. I mean, you can even go like we mentioned the golf tournament too. It's just right down the road as well. Everything is centralized. You just got to get there, but
Yeah,
everything is centralized. Everything is great. Everything just and the Moody Gardens staff is incredible.
yeah.
They're just
A couple of the
they're
places before
yeah
Moody, if we needed an extension cord, they charged us $15. If we
yeah
needed this or that, they'd nickel and dime us, and then parking, they would charge people $20 to park at some places. So yeah,
mhm,
Moody it has been fantastic.
yeah. So shout out to Texas Chief. Texas Chief, thanks for joining us. Looking forward to seeing how your Southwest boys do this year. So looking forward to that. So we talk about
I
in
do
terms of
want
your what's that,
to.
Coach?
Tasco, I think, has grown recently over the past few weeks, right? I think there was a new
Well, I was going
position.
to ask you what's new with Tasco. What's kind of give us the buzz. What's going on?
Well, we have a new role, don't we? We have a new member.
Do we? I don't know. I haven't heard
I think
anything.
so. What is it officially? The title?
I don't know, Mr. President. I think you have to give me that guidance. I think it is as
Communications.
our
You're
chief operations officer said. I think director of content or something like that.
That's it.
Something.
Yes.
There's a director in there. There's a content. There's something else in there. So
There you go. But yeah,
um,
I wanted to welcome you to the fold and do appreciate everything that you've done up to this point, and so glad to team up and spread the word of
yeah,
Texas high school soccer.
yeah, scraping the absolute bottom of the barrel, as you can tell. Tasco couldn't find anybody else. But no, actually, thank you, Coach. I appreciate that. Thank you to to the entire Tasco board as well. I'm excited. Kind of a little bit, kind of a kid in the candy shop. Kind of want to go in so many different directions, but just kind of got to slow down. But I'm excited. Looking forward to being able to be part of the team and see what I can contribute and hopefully, like I said, just add, be a team player and add value to a great team. Because I do believe you in one thing that I've seen in my time covering just from the convention, right? Let alone at state last year, state championships. I do believe you. I really believe you when you say just at your disposal as a president, just the support network that you have. Because I mean, I feel like I have it. So I could only imagine you as the actual organization president because it's comprised of Tasco is an organization comprised of incredible, not just only incredible coaches but incredible people, right? So yeah, so I'm excited and thank you. Looking forward to it and have some fun. But in addition to my role, I know we're bringing on Coach Julian as director of social media content as well, and then also we had you got another little piece that you just recently implemented that we all got to see. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the newsletter. It's something that I implemented with my soccer program. It's just recognized it was such a great way to disseminate information and to give shout outs and to talk about stuff that we coaches when we get together we talk about, and also to highlight and recognize awesome, wonderful people, and not just on social media, but in a newsletter format. So I was able to do all of that. Yeah, it's not perfect. We're still working on it, still trying to shape it up. But I'm excited for the second edition. We're going to try to get that out right after the convention, after Thanksgiving, and kind of get everybody ready for the soccer season. So a little bit of wrap up on the convention, but also maybe a little push in the right direction as the season starts. But again, it's just a perfect way to say here's what's happening and here's what's about to happen. Important dates. Recognize some coaches out there. Yeah, I thought one of the great articles in there was about Austin Guest. Winning a state championship alone is difficult, but to do it 20 years apart, that's incredible. So I
Yeah.
wanted to definitely recognize him. So just looking for opportunities to do things like
Hmm.
that in the future as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. And it's a great piece. Like I said, I think it's going to evolve into something really awesome. And it's kind of one of those things too, Coach, where when everybody sees the product, they all got an opinion, right?
Yeah.
But for those that would really kind of maybe are intrigued and would like to possibly contribute, Tasco members, just any thoughts on that as to how you would like to tackle that or what they can do? Maybe Tasco members, coaches out there that would, hey, maybe I'd like to write about a particular topic. I'd like to share an idea. How can we grow this particular newsletter? How can they go about that in terms of contacting you? Or
Yeah. Then email me.
obviously, at some point, I'll have a role in that too. But what can they do?
Yeah, I put my email address in there, and it's on the TASCO website as well. Or if they nobody any of anybody in TASCO, just shoot them an email, and I would love it because my wife and I kind of put that together ourselves. Just with Canva and sending emails and then reminder emails and please get this to us type stuff. So it was just the two of us over this computer right here on a Sunday afternoon, getting all of it together and trying to format it together and then sending it to people so that they could. I think we misspelled somebody's name in there. One of them auto corrected one of the coaches' names. So getting that again, it was we're not getting paid for it. So anything we
Right,
do
right, right.
is a labor of love. And,
Hmm.
it was some hours that I did not mind spending doing it because I knew that years from now I could look back on that and think, wow, that was the first one. Wasn't real good. But sometimes the
Yeah.
worst step is the first step and the best one's the second one. So
Right, right, right. Now, I'm kind of curious, right, before we move on, from the newsletter perspective, what was maybe the undertaking of that? What was one thing that kind of really got you by surprise, just as it relates to getting that newsletter off the ground that maybe you underestimated, you overlooked a little bit, or you walked away from it kind of having learned a significant lesson?
I I just really enjoyed doing it because it got me to contact some people that like speaking of Austin Guest, and there's a feature on the foundation, and I think that's such an awesome thing that people don't know enough about. And I teach English, so talking to some coaches about, hey, what's a book out there that's really helped you? Because only two people that can't learn are the dead man and the idiot. So I think reading is super important, and just things like that. I've got some feedback on, we need more stuff on drills and more stuff on tactics, and we'll get to that. We're people too. We're coaches, but we're also people too. So to hear about the people and what they go through, and to kind of commiserate with what they had to go through to get through things, but also to shout out things like the foundation, and people might not realize that it's not just about helping people out in disasters. There's opportunities for scholarships and stuff like that as well. So it's been good, and again, looking to help it grow as well too. So if anybody's got ideas for articles or things that we could do, I'd love some feedback. Nope.
Sorry, there we go. Kind of accidentally hit mute there. Sorry.
There you go.
Now, from the newsletter perspective, I find it interesting because that's kind of a growing. I'm not going to call it a trend. That's just a growing practice that's kind of coming of age, not just from athletic directors, right, but coaches, right, head coaches, and so that intrigued me because that's something that I've even kind of been looking into myself, right. Getting it off the ground is usually the hardest part, but yeah, but to hear you say that you're doing it even with your team. Right. What has that been like? Because I know there's coaches out there that are probably wondering the same thing.
Okay, well, I only do it during the season, but I stole it from our former basketball coach. He's one of our athletic directors. Shout out Coach Jawasko. But we're in the office, and I just noticed, like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm doing this newsletter. The guys did it before me, so I might as well do it. And I was thinking, this is great. Instead of on a Tuesday afternoon on Sports U sending out a blast, just like, no, every Sunday night. Here's our game days. Here's what we're wearing, important things. The past week, here's some shout outs to what we did. Looking far ahead, picture day is going to be this day. We've got an open date on this date, no practice. So it's just something that I realize that I probably should have been doing this for a while, but it's just I've got these four little quadrants of things that I can send out information on. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. But it's so much better than piecemeal blasts on SportU that we use or things like that. It's just kind of a catch-all for things we've done, things we're about to do. So, and the kids
Right.
look forward to it because I always try to shout them out too, or give them some silly question. During the season, what are you going to get your Valentine? Things like that,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
what do you remember from your first goal that you scored? Things like that.
Yeah. And kind of part of the reason why I ask that too, and why I've been looking into researching it is just because I'm kind of already what I find myself piecemeal is the perfect word because come Sunday, Saturday, Saturday afternoon or Sunday evening, I'm kind of already doing that, but you know, in terms of the content, what that would go in a newsletter, except I'm not putting it in a newsletter. I'm kind of piecemealing it, right?
Yeah,
So yeah,
and
that's kind of
the team
why I
moms
just
would always shoot me emails and say, "Hey, in next week's newsletter, make sure you put this in there and make sure you include that." So
hmm
obviously,
yeah,
people are reading it and they know that it's reaching some eyeballs that need to hear it. So yeah, that the weekly newsletter it's really helped me get organized and I do just one page and I'm not going to do more than one page and because I don't want to lose their attention too much. But if
right.
it's important, I want it on there.
Yeah. Yeah. So beyond, what's new to Tasco, you're obviously getting ramped up for the convention, which we're going to talk a lot more about in a minute. But what has up to now, just in terms of leading, whether it's the convention, different aspects, what has maybe been some of the most discussed topics you've had since becoming president? So whether it be with members, whether it be with vendors, whether it be with administrators, what have been maybe some of those most discussed topic or topics that maybe you've had to have conversations about?
Well, the big thing is securing the presenters. That's always tough because you want to get a balance. It's sometimes high school coaches, when they see a high school coach present, they think, I beat this guy last year. What does he know that I don't know? And then it's really difficult to get college coaches because that's their tournament season. So they're either hoping to play in there or they're telling you a maybe, and maybe's not good enough for us. So, and then getting the right professional folks has been difficult here and there. So I feel very fortunate to be the president for this year's convention with like I labeled it the British invasion, getting these guys there. But Jimmy does such a wonderful job of securing
Right.
all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a plug and play. It wasn't as much for me to do as other coaches or other presidents in the past because Jimmy just had so much stuff lined up, and it was just, all right, I need classroom session here, here, and here, and maybe a goalkeeper session there, that kind of stuff. But so right now it's just been trying to get some of the coaches to get their sessions into Robbie, who is doing all the sports session planner stuff for us.
Session
So,
planner. Yeah.
yeah, so getting their sessions to him so he can get everything animated and ready so it can be up on the
hmm
screen. Just getting people to getting like students to turn their work in on time. So sometimes that's difficult to do because
Yeah.
everybody's busy, and this is
Right. Right.
big time club soccer season for some of the presenters. So they've been super busy doing that. And they're like, it's a month away. And Robbie's like, it's a month away from you, but I got to get it all ready. So that's
Right.
been one of the
Right.
tough things. But
Yeah. Yeah. And the
um,
one thing that I've learned there too in watching this over the last couple of years is everybody's got a role, everybody's got a piece, everybody's got a job, but it really is it's pretty amazing to see how efficient it is because and then of course in Jimmy and his role as well, but how much of a machine it really is. It's amazing to see, year in and year. I had this conversation, with Chris Besner, right, former past president last year as well. It's pretty awesome to see. I mean, it takes a lot of work behind the scenes. Things don't just happen, but just the way they kind of happen, it's kind of like almost like a military operation. It's pretty cool. I like it.
well,
Um,
if you're going to be a good coach, you better be organized.
yeah,
So
absolutely,
we
absolutely.
Tasco is loaded with good coaches. I might not be in that category, but it's going to be organized and it's things are going to get done.
Yeah. So we transition here, coach, a little bit. So we start talking a little bit now in terms of Texas high school soccer, the state of Texas high school soccer, the 35,000 foot view piece, right? Before we kind of go back in, zoom in on the convention side. But, the 24-25 season, it was a very historic season because our sport saw some dramatic changes, right? This past season, uh, including the focus, the big one that we saw before the season even started, right? Beyond the two, on the field was also the sportsmanship piece and the Texas way, and we saw some significant changes, some significant numbers, a lot of drops that made that were in the favor of making soccer look a lot better. Obviously, we all know that it's always a gray area and there's layers to it. It's never just black and white. But tell us a little bit in terms of that sportsmanship focus in the Texas way and kind of what you noticed, what you saw, and what you can share with us.
Well, it seems like obviously the Texas way it's working. It's doing its job because ejections were down significantly, especially in soccer. And and it also helped us. We sat with TASCO, the officials association, a couple of times and got a little bit tense because just some of the data is different, and comparing us to other sports isn't the same because football,
Right.
you
Right.
don't
Right.
get yellow cards in football for a personal foul or pass interference. So we kind of felt picked on a little bit. But anyway, long story short, too late. The Texas way seems to be working, and from the data that we saw in the vast majority of ejections throughout the state, those ejections were from schools that weren't a part of the Texas way. They hadn't joined in and done the videos and read the literature. So it seems like the Texas coaches, they're starting to figure it out that we had to do something because it starts at the top. Every coach establishes a culture in their program, and what we overlook, we encourage. And I think that as coaches, when we say, "Hey, this isn't right," you're not going to act that way. It trickles down, and they look at us. And I think a behavior is a heck of a teacher. It's a much better teacher than a word. And when coaches behave the right way, then their players will too, most often.
Right. Yeah. Well said. Well said. And then the other half of that, I guess, if you will, or the other two-thirds of that, the massive changes that we saw with the D1 D2 split, and then of course the mercy rule. Kind of a two-parter here for you in terms of tell us what you can share in terms of educating the public about TASCO's role in that in leading up to that, maybe a little bit, and then also maybe your personal take on your thoughts in terms of what you saw directly on the field this past year, and maybe any personal thoughts as it relates to those two.
Well, I know the mercy rule because I was a part of it. That was a Tasco did kind of help push that through. We didn't realize it was going to get through that quickly, but
Yeah, I don't think anybody did. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, wow, we can get that done that quick. Let's do it. Same thing with the D1 D2 split. We didn't have as much of a role in that as the mercy rule ruling, but I kind of loved it. The state tournament was awesome. What's crazy is in fewer games, more tickets were sold at the state finals, not the state tournament, which is kind of
Hmm.
wild to think about. And
Isn't that
then
amazing?
it also gave the opportunity for, I forget the exact number, but more than half of the state champions were first time state champions.
Nine out of
Okay.
12 were first
Nine.
time champions. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously that's had a lot to do with it. And
Hmm.
it's more opportunities for a more level playing field. And we'll see we don't know if that's going to be the same thing forever and ever and ever, and
Hmm.
um, it's seemed to have helped. Obviously, it made it a lot more exciting, and in in some levels, obviously, it gave some teams a little bit more hope. And instead of facing a school that had twice as much enrollment, maybe they had a
Yeah.
little bit better chance. And obviously, it's not going to always be a
Hmm.
perfect situation, but it's better. I think it's better than before.
Yeah. So the D1 D2 split, we'll see year two of that as well. So any tweaks? So when you look at either one of these, right, from your perspective, and this is just Coach Bledsoe speaking, right? Um, any was there a very common was there a clear cut trend in terms of a tweak to either one of those or both of those that kind of kept coming up to you that was mentioned to you regularly?
One, no, not so. As a result of this, we don't have a regional tournament anymore.
Hmm.
So that made it difficult to find a neutral spot in, over the span of a few days
Right.
to
Right.
host a huge game because I know there was, I forget which one, I think it was in the Houston area. They only had one set of bathrooms open and there were a few thousand people there. You had to walk across the field to the concession stand. So we're trying to standardize if you're going to host a regional final, here's what you have to have. Expect this many people. So we're in since it's the early stages, we can't blame those schools
Hmm.
and host schools for it. So we are trying to get together a document to kind of say, here's what to expect, because we'd love to say, hey, we're going to host the regional final at this.
Hmm.
The problem is that sometimes, you look at region one, it's the panhandle all the
Yeah.
way to
Yeah.
West Dallas. And if you've got two Dallas schools in it, there was a year that Katy had two schools in the regional final, but the regional tournament was at Deer Park. So two
Right.
Katy schools had to get in a bus and travel almost an hour. So again, It's just one
Mhm.
of those things that it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be better. And we hope to make it even better by letting those campuses that are going to host such a big game to know and what to expect. Because it's also track
Right.
season. Track season is a
Yeah.
big thing for those campuses. They can't just say, "Hey, we're going to not host anything this year," and we're going to look at volleyball is going to kind of be the uh,
Yeah. How
what
much of that are you up to speed on what that is, the proposal, at least, what that is supposed to look like? Because I wanted to take a look at that. I'm glad you mentioned that because I have not had a chance to really look
uh,
at how that's supposed to kind of play out.
UIL just told us hold off on making any decisions. We're going to see what volleyball does for their regional
Mhm.
finals and see how it works out, and maybe the rest of the schools can kind of follow, or the rest of the sports can
Mhm.
follow their lead.
So is that for regional tournaments as well? Because the what I had heard was it was going to be specifically for a kind of more true state tournament feel, like state semifinal kind of thing. That's what I had heard. So I don't know, like I said, what I had heard versus I have not seen that proposal on paper, even though I know that's going to be the case. So yeah, I'm kind of curious how that goes because for the same reason as you mentioned, right? I know 2 years ago, I tell this, I tell the story about 2 years ago in 4A when two El Paso schools that are 6 miles apart had to travel to Northwest ISD outside of Fort Worth to play each other.
Yeah.
So
So yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'm just like I'm not making that up. I'm not making that up. So, but yeah, pretty interesting. So so yeah, I mean that'll be interesting to see. But the the D1 D2 split, the overwhelmingly sounds like most people would like to have that split kind of happen before the season begins, right? They're not going to do that now in the middle of a realignment, but would a 2026 realignment in February, would that happen? And here's exactly right on cue, Rafa mentioning this, the realignment with the D1 D2 split coming in 2026. We shall see. We don't quite know, but interesting stuff. A lot of conversations that have to take place. We know that on Halloween of all days, is October 31st, the UAL snapshot will be released, right, which kind of gives us tentatively an idea of what to kind of expect come February. But as we all know, there's always a surprise or two
Yeah.
come a realignment.
We're always getting the question on 3A soccer. When can
Hmm.
3A get their own division? And we'd love it, obviously, but there's a magic number in the hundreds that we would need, like 120, I think it is. That's typically how many schools you need to start a true, classification. And I think right now we're in the 70s to 80s. So we're
Hmm.
still quite a few schools away, and it's a chicken or egg thing. If you get 3A soccer, more schools will join, but you need more schools for 3A to be in there. And the big stumbling block, though, is West Texas and the Panhandle,
Yeah,
because you're talking district games that would be 2-3 hours away in some of those. And then they also don't want a playoff bracket that has two rounds where a school gets a bye just because nobody's close.
right, right, right.
So,
Yeah, yeah. No, I get that. You see, when I was in TAPS, that's exactly what you would see in TAPS oftentimes. So yeah, unfortunately. So next one, Coach. You kind of look into your crystal ball, right? From what you've seen, the evolution of Texas high school soccer, where it's come from maybe the last 5, 6 years pre-pandemic to the post-pandemic to now. Where do you see it, in your personal opinion? Where do you honestly see Texas high school soccer going, or what do you see it looking like in maybe 5 years from now?
I think it continues to grow, and looking at some of the changes happening in college soccer, that's crazy. Doing away with
Yeah.
conferences and doing pro rel stuff, that's kind of crazy. One thing I really wish would happen though is I'll call them out, MLS Next, preventing high school athletes from playing high school sports. It
Yep. Yep.
blows my
Yep.
mind. Unless you're uh, guaranteeing some full on professional contracts, I just don't agree with it in any way. And I'll talk to whoever about whatever about it.
Hmm.
I just don't see the justification in preventing
No,
that. But
completely agree. Completely agree. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what it will look. Will there be a 7A or will there be a 3A? Which one will come first? Right. That's the other. That's
hmm,
what I'm kind of curious to see. So I
if I,
know when we
I
went to this D1 D2 split, I kind of figured, all right, so that's clear as day that we're not going to see 7A for a while, right? So
yeah, if I had to guess, I'd say 7A before 3A.
yeah,
Just
from the soccer,
and
right, soccer perspective, yeah,
but then that would probably lower the 4A number to something that a
right.
lot of those 3A schools could jump into at that point.
Right, right. So we'll see. So we'll see. So we look forward to the convention now, right? Tell us, what you shared a little bit in terms of the British invasion, but how do you feel going about it going into this year's event? And what are maybe a couple of things that like can't miss, highly recommended that you're looking forward to, and why, if people haven't registered yet, they need to register?
Yes, definitely need to register. Again, these presenters are fantastic. We also have a new partnership that we're finalizing some of the details of it though. But Coach's Voice is coming on as another partner, and they have opened up a tour business that will give an opportunity for some trips to Barcelona for some coaching education opportunities. So we're excited about that. And then again, just so many great presenters in some field sessions. I'm excited about some classroom sessions as well. Like I said earlier, we've got a couple of officials coming from San Antonio to show some clips, and they're going to say, "Hey, you make the call. Here's what happened. What do you think the call is?" So that they can start a dialogue with, well, this is what actually the call was, and this is why. And instead of, "Hey, ref, why did you do that one?" Here's a better way that you could phrase that question. So I'm excited about that. We've got three socials again. We've got the American Challenge is going to host their social again, and then that's
Nice.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then we'll have the Quick Goal social downstairs next to the bar in that pool table
Hmm.
area. The women's social will be also Friday night again for the women coaches out there. So
Awesome.
just
Yeah.
really excited about it. It seems like it's forever from now, but it's also right around the corner.
It is. It is. It is. And it's always such an exciting time. The one thing I've noticed is when I'm down there, it's just such a buzz. It feels like kind of Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve because it's right before we fully get going with, you got the following week, Thanksgiving week, and then we get fully going right after it. So I love it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, one of the
Um,
worst things about being in TASCO is, if you're working a door, you don't get to see a session. If you're working
yeah,
registration, you're missing out on all the sessions.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there's been several
If
conventions.
you're interviewing 10 or 12 people, you
Yeah,
don't get to see a session. Yeah. So,
exactly. Yeah.
so yeah, I get it. No, I get it for sure. Now we talked about it briefly, but last year's numbers and then this year's maybe projections, this year's, or whether just not just numbers, but goals for the convention that maybe you would like to address as president, maybe with the board, with the staff, anything. Have you guys had maybe some of those conversations in terms of some specific targeted goals, something that you're looking at?
Well, just getting the word out is the hardest thing, whether it's through the social medias or the postcard. I know some people are still waiting on their postcard, or just word of mouth or podcasts. Just getting the word out that the quicker you get in, and I don't even know if there's any rooms left at Moody. That's another thing
Right,
that
right.
is kind of tough. They are limited in the number of rooms that
Yeah, yeah.
are there. We're talking about again 1,000 coaches being there, which is again the number that we want to hit. 1,000 is a good number that we want to hit
Hmm.
because that helps us grow Tasco. Because the more eyeballs that we get at the convention, the more that we can say to our partners, "Hey, we've got this many people here." So now they really want to be there, in that front area right there in the convention hall when you walk in. And
Right.
now we can charge a little bit more, and maybe we don't have to, the price of the admission for it isn't as much because everything
Hmm.
got so much more expensive this year.
Right.
Everything did.
Yeah.
So keeping up with all that, getting bodies there is the main way that we do that. So this is our Super Bowl.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And and it's kind of it's been pretty interesting just to see, like, from my perspective, from the podcast perspective, of just telling people, giving them an idea as to where I'm located, right? Where the broadcast studio, where the broadcast room is. Because for those of you, if you've been to Moody Gardens, if you've been to the convention, when you're coming out of the exhibit hall, the main doors that take you back out, if you make a right where you're headed to the what is it, the escalators, right across from the escalators around the corner, there's a little area that it looks like a closed, almost for lack of better words, concession stand or
Yeah.
reception area. Right around that corner is where the broadcast room will be for the podcast. So I know at some point I'll be interviewing people. Some people will drop in. So if you see us there, definitely go out there, say hi, and we'll be out on the floor as well, the exhibit hall, different places, doing some kind of on the spot interviews, just checking in with people and tell us what they think as well. So looking forward to that as well. Um,
Yeah, I alluded to it. Like we've got, don't want to miss the names here. Jason Daggett from
yeah.
Liverpool
Yep.
FC. There you go.
Right. Right. Right.
The U16 manager on the women's side. We've got Dan Moore coming from Wrexham, and Robbie Johnson from Everton. He's coming again. They're both on
Hmm.
academy coaches there. And then, if you did enjoy the sessions last year, we got a few people coming back. Fred DeCranian and Perry Vander.
Ukrainian.
They're from
And they're
coaches.
awesome from international soccer school. They're all absolutely awesome. Yeah, yeah.
And then
And,
Nora and
and
Flex are
Perry
coming.
continues to talk about the something that I think is kind of we're going to dive into more conversations with the Champions League. Have you heard about that high school Champions League?
No, I
That
don't know.
is Perry is kind of the spokesperson, so I'm looking forward to being able to talk to him about that more this year. But I'm sorry, Coach. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just Nora McGuire White and Flex Hernandez from Total Soccer Development are
Mhm.
coming back. So they did a really good job last year. I really was happy about that. And again, we've got so many titled partners there and so many opportunities to
Mhm.
grow everything around us. See what else do I not want to miss? Oh, I do want to.
Any
We
some
have,
particular speakers,
we have a
presenters?
title sponsor is Soccer Innovations this year, so we're really happy
Hmm.
about that. And American Challenge is still our official ball sponsor. Um, yeah, some of the speakers. Jen's coming back to do another session this year, and I'm going to feature her again in the newsletter. So I'm excited about that. So yeah, it's just so much happening.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's awesome, and that's just that, Coach. But I think you're the other part that I think it doesn't do it justice of mentioning it on the podcast because you have to see it for yourself is the quality, the volume of just from clinicians, presenters, speakers to, but also the vendors, right? The quality of the vendors that are there, and then just some of the offers that the vendors have, right? From goals, the different draws, the different that are happening that you can apply for. All of that stuff is pretty. It's pretty amazing. I still tell the story of Coach Purcell from Corsicana. What was it? 2 years ago, I think 3 years ago, showed up in a bus to. He won the full size 8x24 goals. He drove down there in a bus to transport them back.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
yeah.
still tell that story.
Again, the great thing is, last year I think it was somebody was like, "Man, I don't want to go listen to that." I was like, "Well, the good news is right next door is another classroom session, or you can
Mhm.
walk down there and watch, a live session." So
Yeah,
you have choices.
right,
You don't like it, then go up to your room and take a nap. But we
right.
we can't please everyone. But
No, no. And
we're
I will say this. I will say this was something I got to share that always surprised me over the years. Now I'm only surprised with how much more I continue to find there in Galveston. But Galveston, a sneaky good, if you're a foodie, a sneaky good food place, a sneaky good food town. You wouldn't expect it, but it's very broad in terms of what you can find there. I'm a particular Italian snob, when it comes to Italian food. And there's a great restaurant there that I've discovered. A couple of coaching buddies have discovered there as well.
is
Pretty
that
amazing.
Mario's?
No, no,
No.
no. I'll have to tell you offline. I don't want to say everybody because then every coach is going to go there. So,
Well, see, I'm BOI. Do you know what BOI means?
bo what boi?
BOI, bored on the island. I was born
Or,
on in
oh,
Galveston.
oh, were you? Okay.
Yeah,
No, I did not know that.
yeah,
No,
my
I did
dad
not
was
know that.
the head football coach at Galveston Ball back in the '60s and early
Wow.
'70s. So yeah, I always went. One of the first times I went to the convention with Gilbert,
Yeah.
the lady at the desk, I said, "Hey, do I get a discount because I'm BOI?" And Gilbert had never heard that. So now every time we see anybody there, he's like, "Did you know he's BOI? Did you know he's BOI?" Yes, I'm
That
born
sounds
on the
like him.
island.
That sounds like him. That sounds like him. So yeah. So if you're not, so coach, if we have people that are considering membership coaches, but they're not members, or we have members that are considering the convention, but they haven't registered yet, or we have some that have just gone to the convention years ago and they kind of feel like, hey, I've been there, done that, don't need to go again. Why do they all need to go? Why do they all need to register? Why do they need to stop kind of putting it off and just do it?
Uh, Several reasons. Number one, again, the only two people that can't learn are the dead man and the idiot. There's so much to learn there from the sessions, from the classroom sessions, and the number of just smart coaches around there, just having conversations. It's so cool to walk around the restaurants and you see people talking and they're moving, the salt shaker and talking about this and that and the exchange of ideas. That's great. And I hate to say it like this, but just the camaraderie, even if you don't see a single session, it's your last hurrah for about 3 or 4 months, to see these people. Just
Correct.
kind of like with a THSCA. Yeah, you can go to those sessions and learn a lot, but just that, that I haven't seen you in 5, 6 months, that type of camaraderie is a great thing. And then, if you're a golfer, that the golf tournament has grown and grown. And if you want the excuse to play in it, it helps go to the foundation and it's helping raise a lot of money for some really great things. I don't golf, so I'm stuck back at the
Yeah.
convention
Yeah, me either.
setting up.
Me either.
we get punished for not golfing, so we have to go set up on Thursday.
Right.
But
So,
no, it's
and then of course you have the Hall of Honor, right? Which is kind of I don't know, the centerpiece, cornerstone piece, whatever we want to call that. But I don't know. You want to speak to a little bit about that briefly, Coach, before
yeah,
we start
it's
transitioning?
again recognizing the ones who set us up and really putting them on a pedestal to say, hey, we do recognize what you've done for us. And one thing I'll mention, Gilbert, once again, he had the great idea a few years ago to get them a jacket, and to see the pride on their face as they put that jacket on is really great. And to hear the stories of how they either got into soccer or their growth of coaching these kids, and it's been a fun thing to be a part of, because before I was in TASCO, I obviously never got to go into the Hall of Honor presentation, but through these past few years, it's been really cool to see these guys and how awesome they are. And you realize why they are there, because they are great people and great coaches as well. So looking forward to that
Right.
one.
Right. Yeah, it'll be fun. It's gonna be great stuff. And we got Coach Heyman in here talking about Ask Rob where the Coach Heyman and Coach Cano session will be at this year's clinic.
I think on the ninth floor, maybe.
Dare I speculate? Yeah. We start wrapping up here, Coach. But you shared, for clinicians, presenters, a lot of great stuff that's going to be happening this year. I love the trajectory, just where it's headed. But I asked you the crystal ball question earlier about Texas high school soccer, so I'll ask it again now. But as it relates to the TASCO convention, right? What does the TASCO, in your personal opinion, what does the TASCO convention look like 5 years from now?
I think it's going to keep rolling and keep growing. I just think we are in such a healthy period right now of if you look at all of the regional directors and the rookies and the assistants, they're great people. And if you look at the people that have come through, they're organized, they're in it for the right reasons. And I just see, the TASCO itself growing. We're almost at a position or a point where we need to maybe add another position, or, we've got so much going on that, in the past, long time ago, sometimes people wouldn't run for that rookie position. Now it's always a pretty hotly contested thing, and comes
Right.
down to just a few votes here and there. So that shows that it's healthy. TASCO is healthy, and the convention, we're the largest high school soccer convention in America.
In the
Yeah.
country, yeah. And it's only behind United Soccer Coaches Convention,
Yep.
right? So, which is saying, I mean, that's a pretty bold statement in itself. That's pretty awesome. So, and to be a small part of it, to be a small piece of it, and be able to, and be surrounded by a great group, it's. I'm humbled by that. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. So,
Yeah, but I feel embarrassed, to be mentioned as a part of this, because I'm such a small piece of it. It's a lot of people.
yeah, it is. It is. It's great stuff. But, Coach, that's going to do it for segment one. We got through it. You survived. So, segment two, we're going to bring you back shortly. Counterattack segment. I promise it'll be a much shorter segment, but we get to pick on you a little bit, have some fun. Not at your expense, but we'll laugh with you. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Coach Bledsoe, the TASCO president, and episode 141 of the 50/50 podcast. In the market for a new home, or maybe you'd just like to get more information? Then let us tell you about our new proud partner and title sponsor, Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com. your go-to realtor for military and veteran families in Central Texas. With her Cover and Move I've Got Your Six approach, you focus on the move while she handles the contracts, the deadlines, and even the details. Want a realtor who works like you and fights for you? Then you need to visit Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com for your free no-pressure strategy session. Again, that's Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, as well as at 737-210-5812. And then there are our great friends at Gipper. Gipper is a way that schools, athletic departments, ADs, and coaches create world-class marketing content. Join over 4,000 coaches and ADs and use Gipper to create high-quality, visual branded graphics for your program. The best part, anyone can do it in seconds on any device without needing any design experience whatsoever. If you do have significant experience in this process, then this is designed for you as well, as you are what they call the power user. Listeners of the 50/50 podcast can now receive 10% off any first-time Gipper purchase. Simply visit gipper.com/partner/5050 to learn more. Again, that's gipper.com/partner/5050 to learn more. All right, and we are back, episode 141 of the 50/50 podcast, brought to you by our proud partner there at Jeanette Spain, I should say, at TexasVeteranRealtor.com. All right, Coach, it is the moment of truth, counterattack time, rapid fire, random questions, some soccer, some non-soccer. You ready?
I think so. Ready as I'll ever be.
That's the spirit. There you go. All right. So you're out and about. You could be in a store, or maybe you're just in the house, right? But just the random, maybe you're channel surfing, what have you, whatever that looks like now, channel surfing this day and age, right? Very different. But movie you always just kind of somehow always randomly come across and you have to stop and watch no matter where it's at in the movie.
Big Lebowski. Love Big Lebowski.
Yeah. You come across that one a lot? Do you come across that a lot?
No, but
No.
you know, when I do, and I'm always quoting it somehow or another. Yeah, it was just one of those. I graduated high school in '91 and college in '95, so it was on. And every time I watch it, I learn something more.
Yeah, you want to hear something interesting? You'll love this. And I'm kind of a movie buff. I've never seen that movie. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. So yeah, it's one that I got to watch. So for sure. All right. One of these three, which one are you running the most if you see it? Bigfoot, Chupacabra, or La Llorona? Which one are you running? It's got you running the fastest.
La Llorona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Bigfoot, he's either not real or he's allergic to cameras.
Well, you know what ruined it for me with Bigfoot was, you remember Harry, was it Harry and the Hendersons? You remember that? Yeah. So now I just think of him as a big, friendly, non-existent person. So
yeah, and Chupacabra is just a coyote with mange. So.
Yeah. Right. All right. If not an educator, you would have been what? Not a coach and educator, I should say. You would have been what?
I probably could have gone to law school. I think I probably should have. You know, sometimes when I look at my wallet, you know.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
I think law school would have been fun.
Yeah. Okay. Next one. You could only do one or the other. Which one would it be? You could either go back in time, rewind, or pause present day, pause time. Well, which one would you do?
I guess pause time. I don't like to live in the past. You know, and one of the things the Stoics try to teach you is don't live in the future. That's what worry is. Worry is just living in the future. So just pause and just realize how awesome life is and reflect on just the beauty of nature around us. And so I guess I would do that because, you know, a lot of people say life is short. Life isn't short. We just spend too much of our time not taking advantage of it. And life's pretty long. So yeah, I guess pause and reflect and see what's around us and appreciate it.
I like that. Good one. All right, next one. So you're kind of a life of the party kind of guy, right? So go to karaoke song. What is it?
Let's see. I won a karaoke contest here in Helotes when I first moved here.
See what I mean?
Let's see. One of my go-tos was Hello Dolly, because I can sing like Louis Armstrong every now and then. And then I would do Summer Lovin' from Grease, and I would sing both parts. And then Suspicious Minds and Mac the Knife.
Wow. You have like a whole repertoire there. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah. Look at you. Way back in the day, we used to go to karaoke at but way back in Port Arthur, my Port Arthur and Nederland days at
Yeah.
bowling alley.
Yeah.
Now, I was the Rob train. When I'd walk up there, people do the woo woo.
Yeah. I told you, life of the party kind of guy. I told you. All right. So, okay, next one. So, we've all heard of the Guinness Book of World Records. So, what is a Guinness World Record that you feel, no matter how odd or random it may be, that you feel you'd have a shot at beating?
Uh, the ability to nap on cue. I can, yeah. And my wife just, yeah,
There it is. There it is.
I can nap standing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can nap
Awesome.
anytime.
It
That's
was
my
great.
superpower. Yeah.
Instant feedback there. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So, all right, next one. Biggest. All right, biggest change you've noticed in yourself since your very first year as a coach. What would you say it is?
Uh,
Not maybe necessarily what people tell you, but what you've noticed.
my patience has gotten a lot better. I used to, it's tough as a coach. You always want to win, but
Hmm.
I see the big picture a lot more, and I've realized that you have to define what winning is to really win.
Yeah.
And if it's what's on the scoreboard, then you're probably doing it wrong. Uh,
Hmm.
as a high school coach, anyway, I think there's again, what is your definition of winning? If it's having more points than the other team at the end of the day or at the end of the game, then we can't control all of that. Sometimes you just play a team that's better than you, and coming to that conclusion is tough. And we were athletes at one time, and all we wanted to do
Right.
was win. But I
Right.
think
Right.
winning is seeing that kid come back to campus and talk about how well they're doing. Or
Mhm.
winning for me is knowing that we did it the right way, and
Yeah.
that we gave it our all. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Well said. I like that. So, aside from your ability to nap, strangest talent.
strangest talent.
We all kind of have a random one,
I
strange
can't
one.
make a three with this hand. That I don't know if that's a talent, but my wife makes fun of me for it all the time. But
Really?
for some reason, when my pinky goes down, my finger goes down.
You got to go the international way, coach, like the way I
Oh,
grew up. Let me
I
see
do.
the three with the thumb, right? With the thumb. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I do, and
That's
she makes fun of me for it. So
yeah. That's how I do it to this day. Yeah. Maybe it's a coach thing. I don't know. But
yeah, another talent of mine is being a Rockets fan and married to a person who works for the Spurs, as you
yeah,
can.
some things we don't talk about, coach.
Yeah.
It's bad enough for Manchester United. You're losing cool points. Come on now. So, but your ability to nap, for every person like you, there's someone like me who's the opposite, who can function on very little sleep. So it's just amazing how the world operates, right? So,
Yeah.
all right, next one: conspiracy theories. Yes or no?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Tons. Yeah. Oh
yeah. What's the go-to? Your go-to, the one that you find yourself kind of always circling back to. Is there one in particular?
yeah. JFK. I mean,
The
there's
the
just
big
so
one,
much
right?
there. Yeah.
Where the conspiracy theories were born, right? Yeah. I was going to originally ask you that question in the form of that. It was going to be Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, yes or no? That was going to be the original question, but I
No
was like,
way.
no, no, no. I'll
No
go a
way.
little, I'll go a little broader. So, ghosts, yes or no?
No.
No. Okay.
No. They're. I didn't. What are they? Why are they in clothes? Why don't we see billions of them? There's been billions of people dead through history.
Listen to you.
I,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
don't.
Hey, some solid points though. Some solid points. Uh, I did have, who was it? I asked this question I don't know if it was it might have been to Chris. I don't know if I asked this one to him or a couple of years ago, because I sometimes I match these up. I shuffle them around a little bit. But somebody said ghosts, no, demons or spirits. I think yes. So I was like,
Oh, okay.
interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I, I'm weird. I think we're all connected somehow, some way through
right,
energies and all that kind of stuff. So
right,
maybe those
maybe,
types
yeah.
of energies, maybe. But as far as a ghost, like one thing when I see the people who can see dead people around you, I'm like, the person that died, what language did they speak? Hold on, my dog's
Right.
barking.
Oh,
Pepper. Somebody give Pepper a treat.
it's tired.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I was speaking of that. I was watching. It's October is like my spooky movie month, right? So I was watching I fell asleep watching The Sixth Sense last night. So speaking of that, ghosts and dead people. All right, next one. Game day of game day superstitions, or as a coach, any game day superstitions or rituals?
I've gotten away. I used to, same socks, same shirt, same
Yeah.
meal, all that kind of stuff. But then I realized, and being an A&M fan kind of helped me realize this. It doesn't matter what you're eating or where you're sitting. Sometimes your team just loses. So
Yeah.
I realized that maybe it's not the lunch that I had or the shoes that I'm wearing. Maybe
Yeah.
it's my team is prepared and the other team, is not as prepared, or maybe that other team was just better. So I've gotten away from that because, again, a weirdness for me. But I just kind of think that if you believe in superstitions, then maybe you're leaning into something that you have no control over. I know what I can
Hmm.
control, and the
Hmm.
socks that I wear do not control how my soccer team is going to perform.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, I'd like to think that point of view was formed by both, not just your A&M fandom, but also your Manchester United fandom for the last 12, 13 years. So,
yeah,
just saying,
yeah,
just
yeah.
saying, just saying. All right. Movie you quote the most.
Probably
I'll,
Big Lebowski, like I was saying, Big
about,
Lebowski.
yeah.
Yeah, I do
Okay.
that quite a bit. Yeah.
You
Um,
gotta, you gotta help me out with that one. I gotta see it, man. I gotta see it. So, all right.
yeah,
Next
it
one.
takes a lot
Oh,
of
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, it just takes a lot of viewings to really get what's
To
going
get them
on.
down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Pandemic habit that you kept to this day.
Hmm. Uh, I went with this haircut. My hair was different during the pandemic. It was shorter. I used to have kind of a short, spiky one, and during the pandemic, I let it grow out. And I'm a
Hmm.
huge Elvis fan, so I just was like, hey, maybe I can get a pompadour. So
There you
I
go.
can't rock it like Elvis did, but I can try.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So you've had it that long, that style now, since then?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome. Good deal. Almost there, coach. Couple more.
Okay.
Spirit animal.
Hmm. I don't know. I guess I don't have one. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyone you've just kind of always randomly admired for no particular reason?
I like pandas because they just roll around. They're kind of goofy,
In their
They
own
just
world, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and they're resilient. They just, you know, I
Yeah.
and I love
Okay.
raccoons too. Like maybe
Yeah.
a raccoon, the trash
Yeah.
panda.
Raccoons crack me up, man. They're characters. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know they get a bad rep, but because they're always in everyone's trash and stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, raccoons crack me up. So, all right, final one. So this one is kind of a little bit more of a hypothetical, I guess, if you will, but philosophical. But finish this sentence: the 2025 TASCO convention will be a success if.
Hmm. If everybody shows up with the right mindset and the growth mindset, and everybody is there to learn and to have fun.
Mhm. Yeah, there you go. Short, sweet, and to the point. I like it. Well done, coach. Well done. Well done. That is going to do it, coach. We wrapped up. You survived after all those questions. So I've been peppering you for the last hour with questions. But something that we've introduced, kind of a newer thing, is I'm going to give you the opportunity now to fire one back at me. Anything, whatever's on your mind, random, anything about our sport, the convention, whatever. You get an opportunity to fire one question back at me. Go ahead.
Uh, Talk to me about your military service. How has that helped you as a coach?
Oh, leading up to with Veterans Day kind of around the corner, I had a student interview me last week and kind of ask that question a little bit. And I feel that. So this is obviously I don't want to go on a tangent on this one, but I feel like veterans who go into whether they do their 4 years, 6 years, 10 years, or retire 20 years, I feel like they make what they need purpose, right? When they retire, right? When they separate from the military, those first 5 years post military are critical, right? Because I could see why it wasn't until I retired and I had to go out and get a quote unquote real job. And I had to realize that it's like you're one or two bad decisions away from being out in the street, right? That was the first time I really saw the understanding of how it's not that far to become a home. And you see veterans that are homeless, right?
Yeah.
On top of just the background, the experiences, you talk about the PTSD, all that stuff. That's not even including that. Excuse me. But it's something that's near and dear to my heart, just in terms of working with veterans, because I feel like that's if I left coaching, teaching and coaching in particular, it would probably be for something to work with veterans, right? Because as a veteran advocate, that's something that's, like I said, near and dear to my heart. But I feel that the structure you learn in the military, the kind of the regimented, the character piece, the building leaders, that's something that just I've been able to seamlessly transition from my time, and I got to do it while I was active duty. To be honest, in my time when I was coaching at the Air Force Academy, right? So while I was active duty, I was coaching there, and that's where I really, I guess, caught the passion. That's where it really kind of lit a fire under me to. It's like, hey, I could do this. I want to do this, right? Because it's got to be about more than just paycheck. It's got to be purpose, and I feel like most veterans, a lot of people, to be honest with you, don't get me wrong. It's yeah, you can chase the money, right? And short term, it's going to be great. It's but long term, I think it's got to be about more. And I feel it's kind of part of the reason why I left the private school sector to come back to the public side in back in 2021, because I felt like it was. Don't get me wrong, I had a great opportunity. I had a great job on the private school side, coaching as well. But I felt like my calling was to come back to the public school side. I felt like that's where I could make a greater impact. Right, felt like that's where I was more needed, and I just feel that it's. I don't know. I just to this day, right after 20 years in the military and retiring, and now being an educator and especially being a coach, I've never felt. This is going to sound bad, but I mean it in a good way. But I've just never felt like I've had a real job. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I think from that perspective, I'm at the right place. And I'm now at, as you know, I'm now at Canyon High School in New Braunfels, and I'm loving it. I'm at a great place and well supported. I have my girls, phenomenal group of young ladies that I'm getting to work with, and they're like fully invested, fully bought in. Great parents, great administration, great support, and yeah, I'm at God makes no mistakes, and I feel like I'm at the right place where I can make the next big, hopefully the next big impact. So, but yeah, so. I hope that answers your question because
Oh,
sometimes I don't know where I'm going with these, but
yeah.
so I like to give a lot of information. But yeah, that is going to do it, Coach, for episode 141 with Coach Rob Bledsoe, the president of TASCO, as well as the head men's soccer coach of, excuse me, the head men's soccer coach of the O'Connor Panthers. I never know should I say San Antonio O'Connor, Helotes O'Connor, Northside O'Connor. I never know which one to say, so it's just O'Connor.
They're all
So
correct.
I
And
know, I
before
know.
I go, vote yes for Prop A and Prop B. Go Spurs,
Yeah.
go.
Say one more, plug it in there one more time, Coach. Yeah.
Vote
And that
yes for
is
A
early
and
voting.
B.
Doesn't early voting start? Is it next week? Next week?
Tuesday. This Tuesday.
This
Early voting
Tuesday. Oh,
starts
wow.
this
Okay.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then voting day is 4th or 5th, November 4th or 5th, which
Fourth.
4th,
I
right?
think that's
4th.
the
Okay.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Dia de los Muertos is the second.
Yeah. Gotcha. Gotcha. Awesome. So, final thoughts, Coach, as we start to wrap up here, so we can get you out of here. I know everybody's waiting on you to go watch Task. Um,
No,
so,
I
yeah.
do want to recognize Jimmy Kruger. He's doing a great job, and if you want to thank anybody, don't thank me. Thank him at the
Yeah.
convention because he's the one that's doing most of it. And then also David Crockett. He's the one that
Hmm.
does so much behind the scenes with our technology stuff. And then Jason Meekins. He's our
Hmm.
treasurer. He's the one that handles all the checks and he does so much as well. So again, without those three guys, Tasco would be very different and not very good. So I do want to thank them.
There you go. Give them a nice round of applause. And you aren't lying. I've seen it up close as well. So I could see just how much they're doing. And I'm looking forward to, on the communications team, being able to work with Davey a lot closer. So awesome. Have respect for all of them, including you, Coach. So thank you for being here. And my final thoughts is get out to Galveston, get out to the TASCO convention. And whether it doesn't matter what part of the state you're from, and that includes all my great friends out in the far, great far, West Texas town of El Paso, you should be there as well. All right, you should. It doesn't matter if you're up in the Panhandle, in the Plains, if you're up in the Piney Woods, East Texas, doesn't matter. If you're down in the Valley, right? Is you should be at this and go there with the mindset to grow. Go there with the mindset. The best part of it, where I always feel I always grow the most, more than the great clinicians, the great speakers, the great presenters, is from your fellow coaches, right? Not to mention the networking and the fun that you have, but just the sharing bits of information and details. That's where I feel like you always grow. You always learn the most. So looking forward to it. Coach, give them one more time, one more plug where they can go to get more information on the TASCO convention, to register for membership, to register for the convention. Where can they go?
It's all on the website, TASCO-soccer. So
Yeah.
that's it. The other TASCO is some kind of paint thing, paint
There you
supply.
go.
But pretty easy to find, TASCO
Yeah.
Soccer.
There you go. As well as on social media, both on very active, both on Twitter X or Twix as we call it, and Instagram at Tasco Soccer. Go on there and make sure you follow them. And we put out their stuff regularly. Proud to be able to partner with them as well. And so much of that contributed to, or I want to give a shout out as well to Jimmy Kruger. So yeah, want to share all that, and then make sure like, rate, subscribe. If you listen to us regularly on YouTube and you think you're subscribed but you're not, because all our numbers, all our data tells us that about almost 30% of our listeners are not are not subscribed. Go on there, hit that subscribe button, and then hit that live bell notification so you don't miss anything we do live. You can follow us on Twix, Twitter X, as we call it, at 50_50 pod, as well as on Instagram at 50_50 podcast. And then you can also find us the audio podcast anywhere, wherever you listen to any and all, I should say, of your podcasts. So, all right, it is about that time. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Coach, final thoughts? Anything else to share?
No, next weekend, I should say, I'm heading to the UIL conference. We're pushing through some final wording, trying to make the wording a lot better on when the last date to scrimmage is. Because as it stands right now, you can scrimmage all the way up until your first. So anyway, TASCO is a part of the mechanism trying to get that wording a lot more clear to say that you cannot scrimmage after the first day you can play a game. So
right.
Keeping me busy.
Good deal. Good luck on that one. Keep us posted.
Yep.
And again, for all of our listeners everywhere, we remember you are the reason why we do this. Thank you for being here. And you know what to do. Until the next time, keep downloading and keep listening. You've been listening to the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Help us continue to grow by liking, rating, and subscribing on all major podcast platforms. And don't forget to follow us on X at 50_50 pod, on Instagram at 50_50 podcast, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50 podcast. Until the next time, keep downloading.